I remember this morning, I was like,
that's what Kat said.
I was going to do a quick note, but
you should look it up, right? It was like a PDF.
yeah, but it was
That was too much work.
It was enough excuse to go back to it.
I went and got a new ID because I had my own one. Yeah, they're actually like, but I got a new one because I had my old one, but I broke it and they were gonna let me stay on. I don't know.
You have to scan off too.
Yeah, it's scan on.
So if you don't have 90, you can't get off the bus.
Yeah,
Or like,
Well, it
want
depends
to
on the
go
bus driver. Some bus drivers are just lunch.
My bus
so like,
driver-
want to go to a friend's house.
oh, you can't get on a bus if you don't go on. Unless your parents call ahead
Yeah, I
of time
think you
and
can
say, hey,
get
you're.
special stipulations for it.
Yeah, like if I can't, I'm not supposed to be riding the bus in the morning because I'm not signed up to ride the bus in the morning. So if I try to ride the bus in the morning, but if my mom called the day before, I could.
So what do you do whenever
I tried signing up this morning, but your advisory was full on Tuesday. Do you think you can still throw me in?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry, I thought I already had you in there.
I broke it and straight in half and the bark. So it was like broken. I had it. Like,
I didn't do
Gotcha. Thank you.
also, if you lose the second one, it's a minor principal. It's a vice principal girl. It's a referral. If you lose more than one, you have to pay in the So don't lose the second one.
I have both of them.
Well, I think it's a new type. I think it's a new type.
Check.
I think it's new. I think they're trying to double down on the ID, so I think it's a new thing.
It's too rough.
My advice is I prefer not to get the referral for some reason.
All right, good morning, guys. You will need a calculator today. Our handout, I can't remember if it was numbered for you or not, but it should be number 38. Okay, looks like I did number it. So, if you guys remember, last time I saw you on Friday, we've had our Unit 3 test scheduled for today for a while here, but I chose to switch up two things just to give you some more calendar days to get prepared. So we will not be doing the test on Wednesday. Wednesday classes are pretty short. I think they're like 40 minutes or so. So I won't be going on over anything new. But if the schedule on Wednesday is important to you, I do have one copy of it up here. You're welcome to take a picture of that after class if you have not found a digital copy of that yet. So, since I switched our lessons here, this is not necessarily a skill that you have to be great at for the test, but I can tell you that the test has a few calculator questions and a few non-calculator questions. So potentially this circuit could help you out. But this circuit doesn't focus on calculus, it just focuses on the calculator skills that you need or expected to know during calculus. And of course, you know, you're probably going to know most of this, but there's probably a few things in here that you don't know how to do. So of course, I'd rather you catch that and learn how to do it before you saw it on a test or on your AP exam where it counts a whole lot more. So, again, if you're good with your calculator, you're probably going to fly through this mostly. But I do want to help out. So I need to make an answer key to this, so I will be working at the same time you guys are. But again, this is calculator allowed, calculator needed on all of these questions. That's kind of the point, to see if you know how to do cube roots and absolute values, and do you know how to graph with or solve equations with the graph. Do you know what it means by a zero? Etc., etc. So go ahead and start, please. And like I said, I will also be working it, so every once in a while I'll offer to help out. But if you finish this early, which you really should, there's no way this should take you a full 90 minutes class, you can use that extra time to look over your study guide and maybe get in a little bit more practice for your test. So I know the agenda still says that your test is next class, but again, I don't really consider next class a normal class. So I know a lot of you guys will have school business for doing community service stuff, and some of you guys will be testing all morning if you're a junior and you chose to do the PSAT. So I don't want to throw another calculus test on you after that. So I'm not going to change it on the agenda, but your test is on Friday. But since I won't see some of you guys on Wednesday, I realize that it might be a good time to update your planner, make an alarm in your phone, remind yourself you need to study, and if you have any late or incomplete work from this unit, remember that I don't take late work after the test. So you need to do it before the test. That's the point, to help get you more practice before the test where it counts the most. So if those things apply to you, I will remind you of that stuff on Wednesday. But if you know that you're not going to be here on Wednesday, you really need to write that stuff down, because I'm trying to do you a favor by delaying the test a little bit, give you more time if you need it, but that's not going to do you any favors if you forget and don't have some sort of reminder set up. Okay, so let me get a few minutes to do a few of these on my own, and then we can talk about whichever ones might be giving you problems.
You know where that calculator's like stuck in there? It's like, I don't know. It's
Aren't
like
you a football
stuck
guy?
in- No, but I didn't want to break it.
I don't think
You just need bigger muscles. Now, if people, so when you put them in here, they should just like fall in.
Yeah.
And so if people force them in, sometimes you have to like twist it a little bit to like knock it back in place. I do have more calculators too, by the way. If you need to borrow a calculator and I ran out of my 10 up here, I have a few of my personal ones I can let you borrow.
Yeah, like you just plug it into the calculator. I'll do it again. Give me a second.
I don't remember, I did this circuit with my classes last year, and I don't remember. Okay, I can look ahead and I can see. Remember that your calculator needs to be in radian mode for everything we do in calculus. If your calculator's not in radian mode, in fact, you might even want to write that on the top of your page. Never, ever, ever will you need to be in degree mode in this class. So, like question 1, your calculator's in degree mode, it's not going to mess you up. But as soon as you do a trig equation, sine, cosine, tangent, any of that stuff, it will be giving you different values. Bless you. You might also notice that all of these are rounded to 3 decimal places, because that's what you were supposed to do on your FRQs.
What do you have to do?
I just grabbed it so we can just grab this side of the ground and that side of the living.
Okay, let me offer a round of questions here. So for some of the early stuff, I felt like it got a bit harder at question 7. So any of the first 6 that you guys didn't know how to put in the calculator to find? Okay, anybody get stuck on number 7? Yes? Okay. So let's look at number 7. Now, to be fair, you do have to do a little bit of this one by hand before you can go to the calculator. Okay, so first thing about number 7, obviously I can't find both. Well, there's a lot of different ways you could work this question. I'm just realizing I could have done something different. One thing that you could do, and you're going to need to do in several of the next questions, is you could graph this as a line, and you can graph this as a line. So you go to your calculator. This is not how I did it. I did a lot of it by hand, but if you do alpha y equals enter, it lets you type in the first one, the first fraction as it looks. And then you can do alpha y equals enter to do another fraction. Now, of course, this is not the only way to type in fractions. You can use the division symbol for fraction. Fraction bar is just a division symbol, but you would have to make sure you put in parentheses if you don't do the fractions like this. And then 10. And then how am I supposed to know when these two things are equal? What should I be looking for? So it looks like they intersect here and here. But the question says there are two solutions. To advance in the circuit, find the positive solution. So I want to know what value of x this is, because that value of x is given the same y value. This is when they're the same value at the same time. So if you do, and once again, you're going to need this for several more questions, but second trace, you can go to intersect, option 5. It's going to ask you for the first curve, so just make sure your cursor is somewhere on the blue line, hit enter. It's going to ask for the second curve. It should move it to the second one, but make sure it's on the red line before you hit enter. It'll ask you if you want to guess. So like if I hit enter here, it might give me this answer because it's closer. If I guessed something like 5, it's going to give me this answer because it's closer to it, but we'll just see. Yeah, so that's what I was afraid of. If I just hit enter on guess, it's going to give me the closest one to 0 because that's what I had typed in. So that's not the one I want. I want this one over here. So second trace, intersect. Here's the line. Here's the second line. Now for the guess, again, if I leave my cursor next to this solution, it's going to keep giving me this solution. I need to move the cursor / my guess a little bit closer to the one I actually want. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be closer to this one than it is to that one. And I messed up. I went too far. So our calculator is going to read this left to right like we do. So I really need the cursor to the left of that intersect. And then it should jump to that point. So I got about 4.277 for question 7. So again, that's just one way to do that question. Again, if you looked at my work up here, I actually multiplied everything by x plus 2 to get rid of this fraction, and multiplied everything by x minus 5 to get rid of that fraction. I had a quadratic, and then I let my calculator solve the quadratic. So nothing wrong with that either, but once I started answering this question for you guys, I just realized might as well just, if we're going to use a calculator, we might as well just graph both and look for the intersection and be done with it. Let it do it if it can. Okay, is there any more questions about this one while it's up? Okay, since it seemed like people got stuck on that one, I'm going to wait a little bit before I take other questions. Of course, if there was something about question 7 that you did not know how to do, you just never learned that in a previous math class, or you have forgotten it, please make yourself a nice little list of calculator things you need to learn. your graph, you mean? If you do Zoom 6, it puts it back in standard, like you're used to looking at.
It's been so long. You and Bird too.
Say quit. Okay, go to white thing. The problem is, you see how that plot 1 is highlighted, plot 2 and 3 are not? So you accidentally turned that on. Yeah. So go, no, you don't want them all on, you want them all off. Yeah, it's probably something you did in science class or.
Thank you.
Or you just did it in your back. Trace? If you use
Go to
second,
math.
trace, option 5.
Scroll up to number. And it's like ABS and then
So you have to tell us your first curve,
Absolutely.
so it's on number 1, hit enter.
and make sure you close
And
them.
then the second one you see on the red, so hit enter. Hit enter to hit this, and it'll get you the answer closest to that, where your cursor is. Okay, so you weren't close enough to anything. So, yeah, do the same thing, but when you're telling it your first and second curve, make sure your cursor is just a tiny bit to the left. Where everything is like this.
Did you get some?
Yeah, so I'll get closer now. So hit enter. Yeah, but don't. Which one of those two do you want?
Or how'd you do it?
I don't remember. It's over. Oh, no, I use this over.
Those are both possible, so that might be wrong.
What is the song?
Okay, I can do this all, I'll try that.
What is that?
Well, you know, reading the context, you can tell it, you want the X closest to one thing or closest to.
How do I find that?
That. And then you
I
can
don't know.
figure out what it's called solver.
How many you go to solve?
Since we're gonna hit faster too,
Try that.
Just plug in the formula.
Yeah, none of us know how to use a calculator, apparently.
Okay, you guys are probably having a lot of the same questions. So, any of the first 9 questions I can help with?
8.
Number 8. All right. So question 8 says, if this is f of x, find the 0 of the function. So 0 just means where does y equal 0? So since we have a calculator and since this equation is just kind of crazy, I would not want to have to try to solve that by hand. I don't even think I could. I would probably just graph this. I'm going to graph this equation. E to the 4x minus 4 is 2.5 x. Okay, hit graph. And again, 0 just implies where y is 0. So I can see my answer here. It's a little bit bigger than 4. You should not be guessing what you think it is. Likewise, you should not just hit trace and try to get your cursor close to it. I mean, honestly, if this was a multiple choice question, just getting your cursor that close to it's probably fine. You could probably tell which one of the answers was correct based on that. But we have to practice getting within 3 decimal places. So don't just guesstimate the next answer. So we can hit second trace. And then here's some of the things we need to find. Later in this circuit, you should use the min and max. I think the intersect was pretty helpful. But this question's about 0. So select that. Left bound means move the cursor to the left of the 0 before you hit enter. Right bound means move the cursor to the right of the 0 before you hit enter. Hit enter to skip guess. And there's your answer, 4.194.
Why are you doing sine to the -1? Secant is one of the cosine. That might be why it's not working for you.
No. Oh wait, I can't.
Okay, let me look at you.
So I graphed it and now I did that.
Cosine of whatever you're
It's 0.
Yeah.
And it says left bound, so do I just like go as close as I can to it?
It doesn't matter.
So I'm left of
Your calculator's going to do it so fast anyway. You just need it a little bit to the left, hit enter. Then it's going to change to right down. Now move it a little bit to the right. You're basically giving it a range of values to look between.
and then just enter again.
And then enter the skip guess. And then it's going to bounce back and forth to find the 0.
Alright, thanks.
Yes.
Okay, any other of the first 9 I can help with? Okay.
You just have the equations with
Every time I go load.
That was fast.
Hey, you're gonna drop my backpack off.
Oh. I was wondering why there was a backpack out there.
I got your stuff.
Did you not use the calculator?
This graph on question 19 is really interesting. I can't say I've ever seen a graph that looks like that.
Absolute value. I need some math. Yeah, it's got it. Obviously.
These are weird ones.
Okay, let me offer to work out on the board again, and then I'll come around and try to help out more individually. Any of the first 10, 11, 12 questions, anything stands out, Luke? Yeah, just like, Luke, what was yours? Okay, I guess he was stretching.
Oh, what?
I thought you had a question.
Oh, no, I was asking for 12.
Oh, number 12? Okay. Okay, first off, make sure we're talking about the same 12. This is number 12. I say that because the first couple circuits you guys did were not as tricky in the sense that if you got a wrong answer, it's usually one of the other boxes. So, all right, so how I did question 12, I just graphed it. So if I want to know where this equals this, I just graph both lines, and then they're going to have the same value when they're at the same place at the same time, so that will be the x value. So I guess probably the only part about the graphing you might be concerned about is the absolute value. So absolute value is probably in your calculator, I think it's in at least 3 places. One place I know where it is alpha window. This is where we have to go for derivatives this semester and integration next semester. Option number 1 is absolute value. That's the only reason I know it's there is because I use this menu so much. But also remember, have we talked about the catalog in this class period? Okay. Everything's in the catalog. So if you hit second 0, everything's in the catalog, and it's kind of a pain to get to. But absolute value is a good one because alphabetically it's just the first one listed. So either way. And then I think the third way is probably under math somewhere. But so I'm going to graph the absolute value of x to the third minus 4x as one line, and 7 minus x as another line. Okay, so we can see they intersect in two places. Here's one and here's one. So again, you can hit trace and you can get pretty close to the intersection, but that's not what you should be doing every single question. Just using trace and putting the cursor next to where you want it is not going to be accurate within 3 decimal places, which is how you get graded on free response questions. So to avoid that, do second trace, ask it to calculate an intersect for you. Now there's 2 intersects, so your calculator has no idea which one you want to find. So before I say enter on the first curve, I'm going to put it just a tiny bit to the left of the intersect I'm trying to find. So here's the first curve, here's the second curve, hit enter to skip guess, and here's one of our solutions. 2.426. 2.426. But we're supposed to add that with the solution, the other solution to this. So here it is. So basically the same steps, calculate the intersect. But now you need to be careful, because if you start saying the first and second curve are still right here, it's going to think you want this intersection for this point. So you better make sure that you move your cursor closer to that solution. I just always aim for a little bit to the left. And then it will know that you're talking about that one. So the other solution to this one was negative 2.747, and so the sum of those tell us to move on, as that is our answer. Okay, so I'm guessing you guys are asking about that because of the absolute value sign. Is that correct? Or was it the intersect part?
My calculator wouldn't let me graph it for some reason, but I figured it out. So we
Okay. Was it just giving you like an error message? Was it just an error message, or?
yeah, it was an error message. I had to go in and turn off plots on
Yep.
my.
Yeah, and that's a common one too, especially if you guys use your stat plots in science class. When you're in the y equals screen, if any of these are lit up, when you hit graph, it's probably going to give you an error message. So you can just mouse up to it, hit enter to turn it off, and then it should be fine. So notice I turned on stat plot, and then notice it said error. So sometimes that just happens in your backpack or whatever if you don't put the case on it, but you probably also do those in science class. So that's a common mess up to the graphs. Okay, is that all you needed with number 12? Okay, can I talk about one more on the board? Is there one more giving you more issues than the rest? Number what?
10.
10, okay. Sorry, I thought you said number 2. Okay, this is your 10, I'm guessing?
Yep.
Okay, so instantly, when I look at question 10, I can see trig functions. So this would be where your answers your calculator give you are going to be wrong if you were in degree mode, because it's going to think you want the secant of 0.9 degrees and the inverse tangent of 1.1 in degrees. 1.1 is not degrees, but which is not what we intend. So first thing you got to be able to do for this question is, if we're trying to find this, you got to think about which part of the piecewise function you need to plug it into. I feel like we did 1,000 of these the first couple weeks and then they just kind of disappear. But when x is less than 1, it should go in here. So my calculator, I would say we've got x, which is 0.9, times the secant of 0.9. Now, of course, your calculator does not have secant, cosecant, and cotangent buttons, because if you're using that stuff, you should know that those are just reciprocals of sine, cosine, and tangent. So, secant is the reciprocal of which one? Okay, so 1 over cosine of x. So, is that what I got for the first part? You should be upset by this number.
Did you have to make it in parentheses?
Okay, so if you are ever unsure if you need parentheses, just play it safe and put parentheses around the numerator. Oops. Well, I mean, this is the same thing. You can put parentheses around the numerator and parentheses around the denominator. It's not a parentheses issue. I already said what the issue was. I just didn't change it. Yeah, it's in degrees. So this one that I was doing my work in is in radians, but this is what's going to happen to you guys sometimes. Someday you've got your own calculator, you've got it in radians, it never gives you any fuss, and then on test day you have to borrow one of mine and you don't think about it being in degrees. So radians. Okay, so that's what I got for the first part, 1.448. And then for the second part, 1.1. 1.1 is slightly bigger than 1, so I'm going to plug it into the bottom of the piecewise function. And so this answer comes from x times inverse tangent of 1.1. So how do I get this little inverse tangent here? Good. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but your calculator is color coordinated. Inverse tangent is in blue, so they're telling you you need to hit the blue button first, the second button. When you want one of these green things, you need to hit the alpha green button first. So that's what I got for the second part of this answer. Right, so this one was 1.448 and this one was 0.916. So there's the bigger answer. Okay, so I might still work out a few questions on the board, especially if it seems like you guys need to ask the same thing, but I will also just come around the room and try to see what is your common problems and try to help you out specifically. But again, as you finish this, again, I just did this since you guys have been here too. I know it's probably a little bit quicker for me, but we can use the rest of your class to look over your test review, get extra practice on Khan Academy. Unless you're just ready to take the test this instant. So. That like I would rather use like a teal. Anytime I need you to turn something in, it's always listed on the board. Yeah, the wording of that one kind of messed me up too. What I did was say, I just drew a picture. If this is 24 feet, this is what I'm trying to find. So since slope is like rise over run, here's your rise and here's your run. I just made the fraction of it. It's rise over run your slope and match your slope. And it just wants you to, it wasn't so much a calculation, but how to set it up. You guys got any calculator questions? Oh, you already done?
Just do 24 times that.
Watch out. Well,
Yeah.
again, even if you were pretty good with your calculator, there should be a couple things that were not obvious to you. Maybe being in radian mode, maybe carefully entering it as a fraction, maybe using the intersect or zero calculate portion of your calculator. Again, all of these things show up for us at some point this year, and it's just kind of understood that you know how to do it when it shows up, so.
This are you doing it? This does one.
This one, this is optional.
Okay.
I told them that if they would do it, when you take the test will have some that are similar to these, so you get a little bit of the benefit.
Okay.
But
And
it's,
then
I don't.
the review ended then.
Mr. Jackson, how do on the question solver, how do I get it? I go on the internet, give me this,
Okay.
it's not, it does.
Can you use this?
I know how.
Okay, so yeah, here's the problem with equation solver. If you don't use it, that's actually your answer last time you calculated it. So you need to tell it to solve. So if you just alpha in there, you see how it says solve in green down there?
Yeah.
It will update it, and it finds the answer that's closest to the number that
Like,
it
why do they
said.
want me to use second page?
So like if this has two answers, 10 and 100, if yours was 99 before you told it to solve, it's gonna show you 100, and if you had one set there before you solved it, it would give you 0.
Alright, thanks.
That's the only downside to the equation solver, is it just knows to show you one at a time.
Yeah, I just.
Whereas a graph, you can usually see if it's multiple times, so, but that's good.
That's a good question. I did this, but I used it better.
Okay, which one? Okay, your graph looks like my graph. The only thing I can think of is if when you're doing this, so let me go, this is obviously not the max, right? But if I say here to here, I think it's gonna give us a value. It's finding the highest one. So when you're doing that, you just need to be a little more liberal and say, find me the max. It's somewhere between, don't box it in so much. It's definitely between here and here.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh wait, that's what you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is like the first one that is.
1.212 K. I've done the last one as well, but I just couldn't figure out part E. And I know the answer is supposed to be.
Yeah, looks right, but I just.
See that problem on my actual review sheet. Yeah, I didn't do that myself.
It's a yikes.
Oh. I didn't
Oh,
fall
I
for this.
totally missed that.
Okay, do the or do the max again. When I did this question, I knew some of you guys were gonna do this, and
No, I have to do it.
I didn't do it, but then I did it right here,
I keep
so.
dropping my binder. This is like,
Okay.
just
You need the answers, what?
That's
This is all
Yes,
Okay.
the optional
You think
one.
that's the maximum value? This is when the maximum value occurs. That's the value
Do you know the this
Oh,
one knows where it
okay.
is at all times?
Yeah. That's,
And this one knows where it is at all times. No. You should watch it. It's, you know, it's a, it's actually a thing, right, it's something it makes a lot more sense if you see it. Just, we love it. And this one, it's literally called the this one knows where it is at all times.
okay, so you guys still have about 35 minutes here, so again, I need to make sure that we're all on the same page with the calculator stuff, so if you're stuck, I need you to ask, please. Of course, with our tests on Friday, I will be asking for some of these recent assignments. You've got a circuit I'm going to ask for, test review I'm going to ask for, and per usual, I will open that stuff in Google Classroom early if you want to turn it in and not have to worry about it on test day.
This isn't really, you know, this isn't a question on the, it's just, are free response questions calculator approved, or is it only some of them?
Some of them.
Oh, that's
On your AP exam, the first two allow the calculator, the last four do not allow the calculator.
Interesting.
Do you prefer calculator or no calculator?
It just depends on the question there.
That's a good answer.
There's some
Calculator
that
stuff
are really
is
nice
usually-
to have a calculator.
Some calculator questions are very hard, and that's why they give you a calculator.
Yeah, but others are just, it's just not necessary.
Yeah, some you don't even need a calculator for, like you don't even help yourself.
Yeah.
These, so in most recent years, so since about the year 2000, it's only the first two questions that allow a calculator. So since this was question 4 that year, this was no calculator.
Alright.
But when you work it, you should see that a calculator probably wouldn't really help.
Yeah, no, there isn't much it would do.
Yeah.
I guess I could use the solver here to find why that's just not necessary.
Yeah. And then this was number 5, and this is number 6, so these are all no calculator.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are guaranteed to be calculators. You will, it's not bad.
Point eight. That's what, that times that minus that. That's where.
Okay, what are you trying? Oh, you don't have to. You all finished? That's the hardest part of the test review. Anyone? I would be -1. Yeah, so it must be, because this is 1, so it must be something in your derivative then. Does that come from right here? mistake you've got here. Like your x just disappeared. So right here, this is x times the sine of 2 y. You have to do product rule. It looks like you did the derivative of x, made it 1. You have to do product rule on both. Yeah. It would be nice if it worked that way, but it doesn't. Yeah. Okay, so you gotta put that now. Okay, that looks familiar. That looks like mine.
It's not.
Can you separate something? No. I feel like staring out. I'm really spaced out. Yeah. I just.
Oh, yeah. So it's.
I like that it's feelings.
You just want to get your cursor as close as possible.
Graph it, I grab it and I did value.
And calculate.
So it comes right there and I just go down.
You probably don't need to zoom out. So do second trace. Intersect. Okay. Yeah, so what I do is I always just move the cursor just a little bit to the left. Right there. Yep. And then move that one maybe a little bit to the left too.
Go and click on this line and not checking the
It just seems to work.
the entire thing.
Okay, and then just do it for the other side too, I think.
Gotta do it. It hasn't filled in yet. I'm like, I can never do it. I've got it, but then I'm just, I don't know. Yeah,
The point slope form, y minus y1.
so like when I don't know, I know this is like really basic stuff, but when I'm fighting
Does anything do that?
sine 2x, and
No.
is that.
Everything's gonna be dealing with
There's a bit of
Is it
stuff.
fine?
During the end, like.
Okay, so,
So you plug into it, multiply by 2.
and then.
And whatever that is, you find it.
Yeah, I had to look at the
That makes
answer key to figure it out earlier.
Thank you.
That's the one I was saying has a cool graph.
Yeah, I have this, which I think is right.
Yeah, that looks like my graph. But they put in one key. Just from 2 to 4. So if you were just looking at 2 to 4, there's the one place that they intersect. I just always move the cursor just a tiny bit to the left of what I'm trying to find. So that's probably good. And then we skip this. And then it should move it there, so this is winning and then that's up the value.
Yeah, that's for X. X.
So great.
Yeah. Sine something is cosine something. So right here, you just did the derivative of some y stuff, so you need a y prime with this guy.
Okay. I thought you multiplied together. So it's in the product rule.
Turned it off my house.
Well, to me it is at the end. Sine something is cosine something. And like, if I'm just looking at that term, that's the end of that term. So I'll do times the y prime here. And then, okay, this is the part of it. Oh, here's your y prime. No, you don't need to multiply that. You just need.
Oh, so I'm not
Here.
doing product rule.
No, that's not product rule. Yours is more straightforward than that. You're going from, is it sine y?
Yep.
Okay, so derivative of sine something is cosine something. But since this is a y thing with respect to something else, in this case x, times a y prime, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, you still got about 25 minutes, so if you are finished with the circuit or almost finished with the circuit, please consider using a few minutes to study for your tests, especially if you found something on your test review that you decided you wanted help on. I will also offer help on Wednesday afternoon if you're here, but it's a short period, so.
Okay, that's a different
Saturday.
story.
So, that one yet, I haven't gotten to it, but I can't think of skipping this one because I don't like it.
Oh, that
Leave it to
wasn't
future
hard.
meeting.
I mean, that one wasn't hard.
I know it's hard, my brain is just failing to understand the question, so I'll leave it to future me to deal with.
I can't figure out this one, so.
Okay, I'd be happy to help, but I want to stop looking over your shoulder. So, if you do come up with a question, call me over or bring it up here to me, whichever is easier for you.
Oh, it's worse than I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I forgot this.
If it's like x, y on an equation, do I use the product rule for that?
If you're taking the derivative, yep.
And then you square the top. You square the top and the bottom, so it's 116.
Oh, 160, that's right.
But I don't, how did they do this? I'm missing this part. I'm missing this part. I don't get that.
Okay, so this is y squared times this, right? Not chain rule, one of the earlier ones.
No, is it multiplication?
Yeah, it's multiplication. So you have the derivative of.
Well, I know where I went wrong.
The first bit, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't show your chain rule. And then that was it.
My default was thinking 1/4 squared was 1/16. I'm sure my brain works wonderfully.
Okay, then I know where I went wrong. I'm not gonna bother solving it. Yeah, one side.
Now I have to do this one.
For C, for the address for C.
How do you find it?
Why?
They just want you to approximate.
But it's saying you can cut on the curve of the boom at the end of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's saying
Y is K. And there's Y. So
They're
because
just-
you have
okay.
an X.
You're just plugging it in. If it's an approximate or not. They're assuming that the curve is very close to the tangent line and you can like roughly guess.
Can I get your thing for you? 'Cause
This one?
yeah,
Yeah.
E something for some reason. I don't like E. Well, I understand when I got it. I plugged it into my soul and it worked just fine. But my brain couldn't well for some reason figure it out.
So whenever I was missing the y value, I just punched the x value into the inner function. And then you solve.
That's so much better than using this nonsense. I just like this. I don't know why.
Mr. Townsend, I have a question. And I know I'm really close, but I just don't understand what I'm doing wrong on this one. Because I plug in the x and the y, and but I just end up getting like 2 over 0 instead of, I'm supposed to get 2 over 1, I'm pretty sure.
I just rewrote that.
And I don't really understand what I'm doing wrong.
2 steps, it's 1 step.
If it was something really early.
No, like, it's a cumulative question. There should be 3 answers.
Logically, yes, but it could be 3 points.
So it's like kind of all over.
It could be.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
It might be figured out.
Could be. I hate it, but like.
It's the same up here. It could be 3.
There could be like 3 random lines that are stacking the same one. See, I try not to think too hard about that,
I
obviously.
think you might have a mistake in your product rule here.
Okay.
So here you took the derivative of x,
Right.
left sine 2y alone.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I
Plus,
swear, every single time I mess with it,
now you took the derivative of sine 2y,
Yeah.
which will be cosine 2y times 2 times 5 times, but also times x alone.
Oh, you're right.
And then I think you might have done that over here too. You did the derivative of y with 2x, cosine 2x plus 1, and then you did plus the derivative of cosine 2x, which you then do times y less 1.
Okay, I guess the chain rule. I was too focused on that and not. Okay.
Yeah, those long questions like that, it's easy to overlook something.
Okay. Thank you.
never doubt yourself.
I know, every single time I change it.
My friend will be there extra.
That was the first test I did. So, and there was one class where there was only 4 tests, like only the big tests make a difference on your grade for only 4 per semester.
I'll complete breakdown now.
I thought she did. My friend never actually Rogers.
Yeah.
Or not Rogers.
Rogers.
He did AP pre-cal last year, same year as me. And literally everything they went over in AP pre-cal was the exact same as what I did in regular pre-cal. I was cheated out of an AP.
I like
Yeah.
If you're able to, I would not have been able to do super well in this class without ever doing a lot of studying of my or taking pre-cal. Because pre-cal, they go over the whole semester of pre-cal, it's basically just the first semester of this. They're two different classes.
I just looked up the audiobook on YouTube and listen, I just found it all up.
I went into the
Well, I have the book in front of me. So like, because like, if I'm reading on my cell phone, that was all constant. Like, I don't know, this is like, that was moved around, like, over the summer.
I got there eventually, but it ended up screwing out my YouTube blog stuff.
Yeah, I did.
Literally like the Monday before school started. She just locked it in so that the survey.
Sorry to hear about your grandma. Was that your last grandparent?
No, I still have one on the side.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
This would be useful in May.
And I didn't read it when it was like the
Yeah, so I have to. So everyone, I'm just sitting here and surveying business, and like sure, because all the students need to pass the tests.
And I told him then that's
Is take it. But also, I have to.
They don't give you the derivative of that, you have to get it for the school year one more time.
I'm taking like 2 exams.
That might be a good idea. But the other problem is, because I take the class, right? It's staggered. You've only just now finished work.
Okay, equals.
I just need to show up and. If you're going to just plug it in.
I didn't get the hour. I never.
I swear, the easiest,
That would be
it's
wrong.
just lunch.
If you did the original this side, that's great. Then you have to do this side.
No,
Okay, so equals 0. That's
I swear,
gonna
it is
matter.
the easiest class I have. It takes
All
me
this stuff
about
on one
20
side, not
minutes
over
to
here.
get everything done.
Now
And
we're
then
gonna
just have
these
my
right
extra
here.
class. I have a couple of big computers that has nothing on. Yeah, so I
Last
So yeah, when this equals 0, you can actually
it was
solve
fun
the
because
problem.
they posted everything at once. So I did all the work for a full semester in the first 2 weeks of class, and then I didn't do any.
straight up first 2 or 3 weeks, I could have probably gotten all of the work
So
stuff.
this question wants the equation of the tangent line.
But we don't have access to
Start off
the
point
Excel
slope,
stuff, which is what we're going into
plug
next.
in 2, 3, so your x1, y1, and then plug in your slope for x. And then that should be the answer.
Some, let's say, gauge learning thing.
Yes, I use Sage. That's what I was using.
This one, is it still like, is it still on reference to X?
I don't understand the people who struggle and are still on the 4 or 3 with,
I don't know, say that again, my friend.
So this one over here, this is equal to
I only
our
understand when I was trying
So when
to
you're taking
like,
when you're taking the derivative of
and it was kind of
this,
as wrong because
is it
it's
still
really
like with this, the
wanted
derivative of this one?
so, okay, you're not allowed to use Control C, you have to hit
Yes.
Control Z.
Oh my
It's the
gosh.
most horrible thing. You aren't allowed to hit Control V, you have to hit the paste button.
Well, so
At the top left.
Yeah,
use
or
this
they're kind of
equation.
wrong.
You're
Yeah.
doing the derivative of this side.
Exactly.
I don't know why, because you only get 3 tries. So you do that, and then you're like, why does
So
it
it
work?
is an
You try it
equation, but it
again.
equals the second derivative.
But these are still just normal y prime, but not double y prime.
Such individual
But that's not,
in my
yeah,
website.
your derivative is not.
Yeah, no, I swear, I have
Very
gotten like 1 or 2
convenient
questions wrong.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But you have to do the quotient. You can't just do derivative top over derivative bottom.
Every single one of the questions I got wrong, it's not because I get things wrong, it's because I hit the wrong button. Same result, not the way they wanted me to do it.
So, I hate it. I don't like it. What do you do? It's basically a database program, but not like Excel. It's like you use like connect several databases and load things into that and like plug them in. I didn't pay attention to it, which is probably why I didn't do too well on it, but I did it.
Also, my teacher doesn't teach at all, she just has a student.
Well, that's good to work, but it's like,
know.
it would be hard to have repeating every single word from it.
Unnecessary. But it's alright, it gives me free time to work on it. Read books.
I bet you the government.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess, I'm trying to think, because we don't have to do,
Class, right?
you know, we're gonna have to probably do power rule.
They did, that's the exact reason, it's like, that's why, for example, Spanish bilingual certification, they used, the school used to cover the test. They don't anymore though, they still allow the Spanish teachers to run the test, but you have to pay to take it. $40 for it was Spanish 3 and 4 students, for AP Spanish.
That, well, if they probably stopped doing it, I would do the kids that kind of use it and then like a while ago.
Well, the test is the same every time you take it.
Next page is cool.
Yes, the questions are the exact same. These are the questions are the same.
Yeah, it has.
They don't change at all.
I'm going to have.
If you're not allowed, like, against the rules, now people tell you the answers and stuff. But if you take the test, you just remember what you got wrong. That kind of stuff. Absolutely. And then you get to take it 2 times a year. What's in the fall, what's in the spring? It really easy.
Like, there's one downtime area where.
However, they only allow you to get 1 or 2 questions wrong per section, and there's like,
One for
30 suburban houses and that's the reading and listening. Speaking, there's 15. It's about a minute long, a minute of you speaking. And then for the writing, there's 6 questions.
How long are we writing over here?
Most you're allowed to write is 2 paragraphs.
So if I answered in like 2 seconds.
Well, it depends on the question. Some want you to write more than some want you to write all sentences.
Okay, guys, we've got about 11 minutes here, so let me remind you of the directions so I can turn the screen off. Well, or switch to the daily puzzle and then turn the screen off. Probably more so important than ever, but some sort of reminder about the test being on Friday, especially if you think you might not be here Wednesday. That will be a bad thing for you if it catches you off guard. So there is a few assignments you'll need to turn in, so make sure you bring your binder with you, or you can check Google Classroom once I open those up. I will probably open those up tomorrow would be my guess, but as long as you turn them in before Friday. If there's any late work, incomplete work you have, make sure that you do that, since I will not take it for points once we start the test on Friday. I guess if you still have questions from today's circuit, or if you would like to just look at an answer and check it, I have my copy up here that you're welcome to look at in the last 10 minutes or so. That's all I can think of with that, so feel free to ask if there's something else that's concerning to you. Like an extra copy?
Yeah, mine didn't print, like I printed it at home, but it didn't print out these copies.
Oh, okay, yeah. In the basket over there, there's 2 boxes on that front table. The one that says AB, it's just whatever number that was. There should be a folder with those.
And I said, my readers want to know. I don't know, I think the student.
Okay, did I give you guys this puzzle last time?
Yeah.
Yes? Alright, there's today's then. If you would rather play with that with your last few minutes. Yeah, you got it? What do you think it is?
50?
50 is correct. But I'm not going to tell anybody how you got that yet, so. Give them a few more minutes and then you can tell us what you did. Alright, how'd you get it?
So if you start in the top left corner and go to spiral pattern, it's +9, +8, +7, +6, +5, +4, +3, and then +2.
Can y'all see that now? Well, you either think of that or you don't. So there's not much like finding clues and getting closer. It's either you either try it or you don't. I mean, I don't. Okay, you are down to about 5 minutes now, so if you still have one of my calculators out, please start returning it.